Hey yo, good morning fam, and welcome back to another episode of Our Power with yours truly, Smooth Dre. Hey yo, the way things work is that I will present a topic and then a brief description, and then you guys can jump on into the comment section to express any views you may have, start conversations, or even pose questions while we work together to keep this thing going and answer questions as a team. We working to build this community, y'all. So remember to hit the subscribe button, like, and share it. Alright? Yo, check this out. Before we get started, I want to thank everybody for joining me, you know what I'm saying, supporting this podcast. I want to bring a couple things to your attention. Hey, yo, if you want some herbs and vitamins based in sea moss, bladderwrack, burdock root, elderberry syrup, gel capsules, and gummies, to be used as a holistic alternative to facilitate good health, then go straight to akemisblend.com. That's AKEMISBLENDS.com. Alright? If you want some fly designs, you know what I'm saying, some nice hoodies, some nice tees, pants, or whatever, then you go to this clothing line on Biggie Brilly on IG. You can hit him up on IG, BIGGYBRILLY on IG, Biggie Brilly. Or you can hit him up on Facebook at Brilliantly Brilliant. Alright, so today I want us to go a little deeper, you know what I'm saying, in our discussions, okay? I want to ask you a question, and it's kind of like a two-part question, but I'm going to ask you this part first, okay? What forms the solid foundation of your self-worth? Okay, give me some words, a description, um, just what makes you feel and know that you're worth it. You know what I'm saying? So I'll start it off to get everything going. Uh, the first thing I could think of is my self awareness, right? Because I gotta know my strengths and my weaknesses to know how I can be used. You know, and I automatically relate that to my higher power, which I choose to call God. Um, you know, and I ask for strength every day so that I will be a better vessel or a stronger vessel or a pure flowing vessel. You know, to His goodness. You know what I mean? You know, Him giving me what I need to deliver to another on a spiritual level. Okay, and knowing my weaknesses, you know, my weaknesses are some of those spiritual principles, you know, that I have problems with every now and then. Not as much as I used to, but every now and then. You know, having patience. You know, and I always say that's synonymous with faith. You know, it's not that I don't have faith, but sometimes I still go back and I wonder and I worry about, you know, what's gonna happen, and then eventually I'll snap out of it and I'll think about God and I'll get off the worry, and then automatically I'll feel some faith and I'll be free from worry. But it's a back and forth thing depending on what it is. You know, I'm thinking it's like a natural instinct. You know, if something happens, it's like, oh boy, you know what I'm saying? And then I'm like, okay, help me, God, you know, or I start to have faith or I turn it over to Him, you know, as we say in this anonymous meeting that I go to. But yeah, so that's my take. That's my first thing. I got a few of them, you know, that's a part of my foundation that makes me feel worth it, you know. So the question is, what forms the solid foundation of your self worth? All right, let's get some answers in here. Good morning. Good morning, Cecilia. Good morning, Jamie. All right, all right. I know y'all thinking, what forms the solid foundation of your self worth? What makes you know that you are worth it? Okay? That's what we want to know this morning. Okay, Cecilia says setting boundaries. Um, okay, setting boundaries because I know my self worth and I know that I can't be around or just anybody or allow anything to go down, around me, setting boundaries with people, you know, walking away if I have to, if it's not something that I need to be around, or if it's not the right attitude, or how someone talks to me or treats me, I have to set boundaries so that those things are not allowed because I know my self worth. Okay? But where does that sense of self worth come from? What lets me know um, that I am worthy? Okay? Because I want to get into like a relationship kind of thing, whether it be personal with the opposite sex or whatever it may be. Um, I know how I'm gonna allow myself to be treated because of the boundaries that I set. But I set those boundaries because those boundaries were taught to me by my mother and my father. That's where it started for me. Okay, so that's how I even know how and what boundaries to set. Some boundaries I set just because of that gut feeling. My high power, which I choose to call God, he talks to me, it hits me in my gut, and it's like, okay, look, you can't allow this. You know what I mean? This is just gonna get worse. Just get out of there. You know what I mean? And I have to set boundaries. Of what kind of people. All right, thank you. Hey, good morning, Paula. Good morning, Greta. What kind of people I'm allowed to have access to me. You know what I mean? Not that I think I'm all that, but on some level I have to because I know my self worth. And I'm not just supposed to be around everybody anytime, all the time. You know, unless I'm doing God's will. That's when I can get into the trenches and be around anybody. Okay, but that's when I'm doing his will and I'm doing the service and trying to help. But just to be around people who are gonna give me negative vibes and just being somewhere I know I'm not supposed to be, or allowing someone to treat me a way that I know that my parents taught me not to have someone treat me. I know my self-worth, so I'm not gonna allow that. And that self-worth, when it comes to boundaries being set, I know what boundaries to set because of my upbringing, okay, and how my parents taught me to feel about myself. Okay, so the question is, what forms the solid foundation of your self worth? Okay, give me some words, examples, and in a little while, I'm going to connect that to a different, same kind of question, but I'm going to add a little twist to it. Okay, so but for now, just answer that one. And let's work with it and discuss this. Thanks for the stars, Paula. Okay. Self respect. Cecilia says self respect. That's a good one. Okay, self respect. Because if I have self respect and I carry myself in such a way, then others will know right away that I am to be respected a certain way. Okay, and that ties in with integrity. Okay, upholding my moral and ethical principles. People will know. And like I said earlier, it's not that I think this or that about myself or in a way where I'm above anybody, but I have to carry myself with this in order for me to be able to come on deliver the message properly. Because if I'm out here ruining my reputation and running around and doing this and that, and every time somebody turns around, Andre's mouth is name is in their mouth that coming out negatively, then nobody's gonna listen to me when I try to talk to them about something spiritual, about how good God has been to me and how He can be to another person. They're gonna be like, "Nah, man, your reputation is this. So how talking like this now?" Unless I come and I humble myself and I say, okay, and I recognize, okay, I've been this way, but now I have been delivered, and now I'm this way, and this is how God did it for me. That's different. But if I'm going to carry myself any kind of way, then I'm not going to be useful, to my higher power, which I choose to call God, to carry His message. So personal respect, integrity, you know, um, ethical principles, and morality. That's all important. That's a good point, Cecilia. Thank you. Caught that. All right. Okay. Jamie says his journey. Okay. What I have been through, the journey that I've been through. Yeah, being able to go, my accomplishments, what I achieved, being able to fall and then bounce back, that's a journey. And people look at that. And not just people looking at it, but when I go through those ups and downs and I bounce back, people are watching, but then it gives me a feeling, of faith in God, personally, because He brings me through situations and I'm learning on the way, and then I know because of the things that I have been through, right? Those things I don't intend to go through again. Okay? Relationships, um, things on my job, things that I've done in the past that may have gotten me written up or fired or, didn't work in the relationship. You know what I mean? I learned from those things and I bounce back. But sometimes my self worth is worth more than how even they have treated me, if that makes any sense. But the journey is my journey. So whatever I go through, that creates Andre. Okay? And then that defines my self worth, because I know what my self worth is because of what I've gone through and what I have overcome. So I feel better about myself. So my self worth goes even higher. So that's a good one, JB. Thank you. All right, we got boundaries. All right. Good morning, Latasha. Latasha Mobley in the house. Good morning. That's right. Glory to God. All right. So, glory be to God. Um, the topic is what forms a solid foundation of your self worth. Okay, now I see from Greta, glory be to God, and I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna run with that. I don't know if she's just saying it or that's her one of her answers, but either way, I'm gonna roll with it because glory be to God. When I pray, when I know that I'm covered by my God, okay, that builds my self worth. That lets me know that I'm worthy because of how He blesses me. Okay? When I try and try hard to do His will, that feeling that I get, that fulfillment, that lets me know my self worth through God. And that kind of ties into my next that twist that I said I was gonna eventually add. But yeah, when I fall on my knees and I pray about something that I'm feeling weak about or down about, when I get up, I instantly feel better. Okay, and that's the foundation of my self worth. God is. He is the head of the He's the top of the foundation. He is the foundation of my self worth. Let me correct that. All right. All right. Thanks, Greta. She says testimony. Absolutely. That's right. So yeah, he is my self worth. He's everything. All right. So I'm gonna mention it again for the ones who may have not heard. The topic is what forms the solid foundation of your self worth. What makes you feel that you're worthy? All right, let's go back. Okay, I don't see anything new. So I'm gonna say uh self being kind to myself. All right, having compassion for myself. Treating myself good. All right, because I deserve it. Treating myself with kindness and understanding that I am still a work in progress. Okay, is a part of my self worth. Um, yeah, and not beating myself up because I know I'm not perfect, but praying for progress and not perfection. Being kind to myself, being kind to others. Treating people in a respectable way as I would want to be treated. That's all a part of my self worth. Um, just every now and then treating myself to something nice. I feel like I work pretty hard. I'm a pretty determined person. And the things that I want to do, I'm really determined to do God's will. And every now and then I could say, you know what, I deserve just some time to myself. Go grab an ice cream or something and just chill out, and just chill out by myself. You know, and that's a part of my self worth. You know what I'm saying? So that's a simple thing. Just being kind to myself, being understanding, and having compassion for myself. And if I can have it for myself, then I can have it for others. And that's on the flip side. Having compassion and being kind to others is very important. Even when people may act in a way where it seems like they might not deserve that, but hey man, everybody deserves that. And if it becomes an overwhelming negative energy around me, then I have a choice. I could still treat a person with kindness and compassion, and just not and walk away. You know what I mean? But still, everybody deserves that, even me sometimes. So every now and then I treat myself. Okay, let's see. Self care. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, Cecilia. You right on it. Self care. You know what I mean? Making sure I'm together. Making sure my health is good. Going to the doctor or going the holistic route, whatever it is. Um, Going to a dermatologist if my skin don't look good. Just taking care of myself. That's a part of the foundation of my self worth. Because when I go out and I look a certain way, I'm supposed to look, um, have a glow on me. You know, that God glow. You know, that's attractive, so that if anybody who's ever known me back in the day, or even have known me now, you know, they might come up and know that I have gone through certain things, and I may have looked a certain way before. And they may come up to me and say, "Oh man, hey Dre, man, you looking good, man. You know look like you taking care of yourself." You know, people say that to me. You know, and if there wasn't a time before where it didn't look like that, they wouldn't say that. You know, so I know that it's an attraction now for me to say, well, God is good. You know, by God's grace, I'm still here. Thank you for the compliment, but I give it all to God. You know, for giving me the strength, giving me the inspiration. You know, to try to take care of myself, to try to understand why that's important. You know, why that's important with my self worth and all. You know, to be able to go out and speak His name to others. You know, that's the whole purpose. You know, so yeah, self care is very important. My mom said if your skin and your teeth don't look good, you gotta go back to the lab, son. And yeah, you know what I'm saying? So that's a good one. Thanks, Cecilia. Good morning, Joanne. All right, let me say this. The topic is what forms the solid foundation of your self worth. What is a part of your self worth? You can name one thing, you can name a couple things, but just name something. Okay, so far we've gotten let's see, I'm gonna start. Self respect from Cecilia. She also said boundaries. Jamie said his journey. Um, Cecilia said self respect. And Greta said, "Glory be to God." The testimony. So God is, you know, the ultimate piece to the foundation. He is the foundation. And then Cecilia and I both agreed that self care is a part of that foundation for my self worth and for hers as well. So if you got anything, come on with it. If not, I'm gonna keep it going. All right. The next thing for me that that is a foundation for my self worth is having a purpose. Foundation of my self worth is having a purpose. You know, and having a sense of direction. You know, a significance in life. You know, and I'm gonna tell you like this: money, um, material things can't. I'm a living example, a living testimony that cannot give me purpose and meaning. Okay, unless I do something um, with it to help another. But just to have and just to nah, that's not gonna do it. You know, and it's so it is what it is. My journey, like Jamie mentioned earlier, my journey is what it is. You know, I had a journey where I had a bout with alcoholism, you know, for a while. You know, and by God's grace, you know, He brought me in, got me to the treatment, you know, and I went through it, and I'm still, you know, one day at a time, I'm beating back that, you know, that alcoholism, you know what I'm saying? But if it wasn't for that journey that I went on for those few years with alcohol, you know, and then to go through something and then to see how God brought me out. If I didn't do that, then I wouldn't have a purpose, because that's when I found a purpose in life, you know, and the meaning, and I was significant because what I had experienced, I could take that and help someone else who's going through the same thing. And then in turn, I am doing God's will effortlessly because I am just sharing what worked for me, how God blessed me through it. You know, I'll let them know the similarities. Yeah, I've gotten DUIs. Yeah, I've sat in the cell. Yeah, I've driven under the influence and gone through a blackout. Yeah, I've said things and don't remember. And once the connection comes with them understanding that this is something that I have really gone through, then I get their attention, and then they want to know how I'm doing it today to stay clean and sober. And that gives me a purpose. You know, I know that there's a need for that. But at the same time, I continue to allow God, and I say allow because I have to line my will up with His. Okay, so that's what I mean. He does what he wants, but I have to be willing to line my will up with his. So when I do that, he continues to strengthen me in ways that he knows that will attract those others that need to hear what I've been through and how he's brought me out, giving him all the praise and the glory. So that gives me a purpose, man. You know, I feel good when I get up. Like man, that's one thing, you know, and then from that, he blessed me with other things that give me a purpose, that keep me alive, you know, my music, this podcast, you guys, you know what I'm saying? So I mean, hey man, that is a part of my self-worth, you know, having a purpose and being significant, you know, to some people. Okay? So let me look at the board, see what else we got. Okay, Cecilia says, um, loving yourself, and also, okay, let's do this. Loving yourself and accepting love. Um, okay, loving yourself, yeah, I guess that's different from self care. That self care is just a part of what I do to show that I'm loving myself. But love, actually loving myself, is to me forgiving myself. All right, and giving myself a break for the mistakes that I've made, um, and getting to know who I really am and loving that person. Because when I love myself, then that means that I can love another. I get that. So caring for myself, um, not ruining not even my body, but God's temple by putting garbage in. I try to put the least amount of garbage in as possible. You know, I'm not a nutritionist, and I try to eat right and all that, but you know, I'm really talking about everything, but mainly the alcohol. You know, not destroying myself. You know, not putting myself in dangerous situations. You know, just caring for myself, loving myself. And that, when I do that, that also shows. And when I love myself, it comes from me loving God. Because that gives me a certain pep in my step, a certain glow, a certain joy, a certain freedom, you know, a certain outlook on life. You know, I'm optimistic. I feel like everything is going to work out. And if it doesn't work out, it wasn't meant to be. Now, that's freedom. Okay? But I don't do that every time, but I try to do that a lot, and stay free. It's not about what I want, it's about what my high power wants me to do, and when I love him, I'm loving myself. Okay? So, and then Cecilia says, oh wow, she's pouring it on too. Okay. Accepting love, right? Okay. That's deep. That's something for like a psychologist because I have to be personally what I think I have to be brought up a certain way, and I would have had to receive love growing up, right? To know how to recognize love and how to accept it. Okay, so I'll leave that right there. Okay, that's it on that because that's a touchy subject. Did have both parents, and I saw certain things, and I hear that when people don't have that, or they have a lot of violence in the house, or they have, a parent who's a philanderer or something. It's like, it just goes crazy. But overall, yeah, accepting love, yeah, that is a part of my self worth. Okay, if I can do that, then that makes for a good relationship. So that's a good point too. All right, okay, and now let me go back up and see if I'm missing anybody. Celia, Jamie, Greta, Paula, Stars. Okay, Tasha. Okay. All right. Having empathy for others. Right. Having empathy. Having compassion. Um, Understanding where another person is. Not having ill intent toward them to treat another person bad. When someone's going through something, being a good listener. Being that person that they want to call because they find comfort in you. They know that you care because you show it. That's a great quality to have. And that's what my higher power, which I choose to call God, wants me to have. So I try to practice that on a daily basis, especially in the life that I'm living in recovery, from addiction. I'm around a lot of people who I felt empathy and show empathy for. A gentleman asked me yesterday if I would be his mentor. And I told him, sure, call me anytime around the clock, because that's what I'm here for. And I feel I can't speak for everyone, and I try to limit it to just talking about myself. But I believe that's what God put us all here to do, to help one another. So I have to have empathy in that, and empathy has to be a part of my self worth. And that's what it is. Good one, Cecilia. Okay, you coming back again. Well, she says, well, I'm in treatment. I'm a work in progress. I'm getting therapy. Oh, yeah, of course. Ain't nothing wrong with therapy. I'm not in treatment and I'm getting therapy. How about that? There's nothing wrong with that. Um, hey, man, personally, I suggest, God is the ultimate therapist, but He works through these therapists. You know what I mean? When I need to address certain issues, and even when I don't, sometimes I have appointments and they'll call. I do the tele appointments. Mostly, and they'll call and they'll ask me a few questions. And I might have something, hidden deep within me. that I might not even talk about, but just them reaching out and me having that session, something happens in that session. She says something that helps me to get through it. I sometimes I don't even have to address it directly, but knowing that God has different people in my life at my disposal for certain reasons is a blessing. Okay? Knowing how to use them and having humility to not be ashamed to say that I'm using them is a blessing. I have no shame in having a psychiatrist and taking certain medications, that they feel I need. Look, I'm a veteran, and I've gone through that time where what? I'm like I can conquer the world. Nothing can hurt me. I don't need no help. All those things you know. But that was immaturity. I had to grow up and understand that God puts these people around me and at my disposal for a reason. Okay, and I must humble myself and use them. And I can't humble myself and go to them. Let's say like I know people who have like emergencies. They might get have a cut or a broken something or whatever, and they go to the doctor. Oh, help me, help me with all the humility in the world. So the doctor will stitch him up or put the cast on and then be like, okay, um, take these twice a day or whatever. And then they'll come home and they'll be like, man, I'm not taking that like that. I'm just gonna take one. But when I'm desperate and I'm kicking and screaming for help, I'm vulnerable. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. But then after they help me a little bit and give me a little leg to stand on or a little more strength, now okay, I don't need them. And that's how I see that I used to do God. I used to use His power, call on Him for His help. He would help me and He would build me back up a little bit. And instead of taking what He did for me to take and use for His goodness, I would take it and be like, okay, God, thanks for the help. But I'm over here now with that. And then I'm in front of everybody. Look at me like I did it. You know what I mean? But all along, God is the one who propped me up. And I used to do that. So now I don't do that. I try to be conscious that if I ask for help and I receive help, then I follow the directions that are given to me because there's a blessing in obedience for me. Okay, so that works even from me asking advice from a person. Why ask advice if I'm not going to use it? If it's nothing crazy, if I ask somebody, hey man, what you think I should do in this situation? Yeah, I could ask a few different people and then come up with my own thing. But I'm talking about having an attitude like asking somebody something and let's say, look, oh, I always like to use this. Hey man, where's Walmart? All right, go down the street and make a left. Right? So instead of going down the street to make a left, I want to try to find my own way so I can say my way was shorter. Instead of just doing what he said, I'll get there and say, oh, I could have went that way or I could have done that. I'm unappreciative. God worked through that person to get me there. I'm there. Even if I see a shorter route, keep it to myself. I don't have to say it in a way where I'm knocking what he did or what she told me down. Same thing when I would have a job. Oh, I'm doing this, one way. They're doing this thing one way. After a few couple weeks, oh man, that's the slow way. Man, I'm gonna do it this way. And then next thing you know, Andre, you're fired. What did I do? Come on, man. So I always want to take from God or from the authority and then take it for myself and then criticize the authority and try to use what I've taken for my own gain, even if it's like self praise. Like I'm taking from what this is, what's going on here, and I discovered this, so now I deserve credit for that. Nah, I gotta go with the whole plan. You know what I'm saying? I went off into a whole nother thing, man. All right. All right. Natasha agrees. Thank you. All right. You got a heart up there. I appreciate that. We go back up and see if I missed anybody. All right. Okay. I'm going to move on to the next thing. Something else I believe is a part of the foundation this time. This is what I was talking about earlier. Maybe I'll save it for tomorrow because we spent so much time on this. So I'll use that for tomorrow, and I'll let you guys know that this was the second part of this question that I'm asking about the foundation. This was the second part I was gonna ask at a certain time, but I'll just save it for tomorrow's episode. All right. So we'll move on. Another thing, as a part of my self worth is I touched on it earlier, but just accepting that, I have imperfections. That I'm not perfect. I can't always win. Um, I can't do everything. And what I mean by that, um, I can't be my own mechanic. I can't be my own electrician. I can't be my own social media marketer. I can't be my own music engineer, right? I could learn all those things that I'm really not interested in, but the way I think is those people who have gone to school, who have learned how to do these things professionally, I should hire them and pay them to do that because it's going to be better than me just throwing it together anyway, especially a mechanic, especially everything I mentioned. But I'd rather pay and get a good product and then that person take that money and feed their family. That's how the world go around. I can't. I gotta have imperfections. God made me perfect, but the sin makes me imperfect. I get that. That's how I feel. But now I'm making another point, and I'm saying these people, I rather pay them so they can pay their families and they can live. That's how the world goes around. So I have to accept that I can't do everything. You know, that's not imperfect. That's just, kind of willing to feed the program, help out, and to do and to make the world go round or to be a part of that. But yeah, being perfect, I can't be that, and I have to accept that, and I do. It's not easy because I want to know everything and I want to be able to do everything, but I don't want to be able to do everything. I just want to know. It's like, that's that ego, ego and pride. That's not a part of my self worth because that is the opposite of humility and will ruin me every time. But knowing that I'm not perfect, yeah, and accepting it is hard, but that is a part of it. All right, Cecilia says she has to go to group and she'll see us. Oh no, she said have a great day. All right, you too, Cecilia. Do your thing. Proud of you. All right. Anyone else? So love, loving yourself. Okay. All right. So, let's see. Let me see. I've put out a lot of. Let me think. Let me think. Let me think. Um, Being able to make choices and decisions is a part of my self worth, part of the foundation. Um, I pray for discernment, as you know. I always mention that. Um, and and it allows me to make certain decisions. Dealing with my business and in my daily life, and I ask God to help me with that. And a lot of times, when I get that feeling, or when someone else suggests something to me, you know, I jump on it if it sounds good because I know that God is working through them. And then I make the decision to move, you know. And I have the power. I was talking to someone earlier about having the power now of choice back, you know. And I was talking to them. They're also in treatment, and I was talking to them, and I was saying, you have the power of choice. We have the power of choice now, and I choose to live a certain way. I choose not to be in certain places, but being able to make decisions and knowing that I have a choice is powerful, and it is definitely a part of the foundation of my self worth, and having resilience and being able to fall and bounce back, from challenges and so called setbacks. Um, Things are not going to be perfect. Things are not going to always go the way I planned them. You know, Ups and downs. Like that life beat in the hospital. It goes like this. Okay, that's life. Up and down, right? Stock market, it goes up, it comes back down. So whether it's up or down, somebody's making money. Okay? That's life, ups and downs. Now, when everything goes like this, with no ups and downs, that's not life. So, ups and downs in life gives me a way to bring me closer to my higher power, which I choose to call God. Because when the downs come, I ask for His help, and when the ups are there, I thank Him for His help. But I thank Him for everything because the downs are lessons. And as long as I'm living, I can bounce back from anything. Okay? When it's my time to not be here anymore, then that's that. But while I'm here, ups and downs, I hardly even recognize it as that. It's just life, and like I said, if something doesn't happen the way I planned it, then I'm like, all right, well, you know what? We'll do it this way. Or we'll leave it alone. It might not be meant to be. But that's where it comes in where I pray for discernment. That's very important to know the difference between doing and sitting back and chilling and not moving. So I don't get it right all the time, but I see what happened and I learn from that, because I know that I'll have another chance to go down that path. And I chose door number one the first time and it wasn't a good choice. Next time, I'll choose door number two. Or I might just not choose any door because I'll realize that that's not even something that I needed to choose from. So, excuse me, where's my. Excuse me. Let's see any more. What God has for you, no man can take. All right. Joanne says, what God has for you, no man can take. Okay. That's on some other level. That's definitely true. You know what I'm saying? So, um, no, no person plotting against you, no hater, no fake person that's around you. Uh, no weapons formed against you will prosper. Whatever God has for me is for me. And it happens over and over, and I see it happen to other people over and over. You know, people have ill intentions sometimes around you, and they don't want you to win, or they don't want you to have certain things that God feels and knows that are necessary for you to have. And they can't stop it. You know, so what I do is when I notice that, when I notice somebody is like, not wishing the best for me, or they might do something, like make a move that might seem negative toward me, and I humble myself and I don't do anything, I don't retaliate, because you know what? That's two parts. If I retaliate, I might cut my chances off from being helpful to that person. Because a person who's out there doing things like that is a hurt person. And what they say, hurt people try to hurt people. So I won't retaliate. And when I don't, I know God is gonna bless me with whatever it is. When I'm waiting for something, or I'm anticipating something, I made a move and now I'm waiting for the result, and I got people who probably know that I made that move, ridiculing it, or praying against it, or plotting, or whatever they're doing, and I don't react to them. I know that God is gonna bless me with that's just that. My friends will tell, they'll say, yo, Andre, yo, you've heard me say, oh well, you know what? They just blessed me. Because of how they acted, they just blessed me. I'll see it. That's the kind of faith, that's the kind of rhythm I got with God. You know what I mean? I already know. But then at the same time, the people who act that way, when I don't retaliate, God says He'll fight my battles. But He can't fight my battles if I'm throwing lefts and rights. But if I humble myself and keep my hand at my side, He'll straighten that out, okay? And He'll show me the demise of that person. I'll see it. I'll see it. But since I didn't react and retaliate, I could show some empathy if that person comes and says, not even apologize, but humbles himself and asks me for help. I'm not going to turn him down or her down because they did something or they were plotting or whatever. Unless it's something that can actually hurt me or my family. But if it's something petty or whatever, yo, I didn't cut my chances off from being helpful to that person. Sure, if they humble themselves and they come and I feel like they need or whatever, and they're sincere, yeah, I'll be there for them. Because hey, man, you never know what a person is going through. But at the same time, if they just a straight hater like that, they're not gonna stop anything that God has for me. If that was the case, we wouldn't be here together right now. Okay, so hey man, that's just how that goes. That's a good point. No weapons formed against you shall prosper. Joanne, you are absolutely right. That's what I said. Exactly. It's not happening. So this is Our Power with yours truly, Smooth Dre. Remember to hit the like button, share it, and subscribe. All right. Remember. Yeah. So yeah, moving right along. Topic: what forms a solid foundation of your self-worth? We had some good conversations, some good discussions this morning about it. You know, we hold on. Joanne has something. She says, always understand that when your life is on a different path, the devil is always lurking for your demise, but always believe in God and supersede it all. Hey, that's a great message for all of us. I appreciate that. That's definitely a great message. So everybody check that out and hold that to heart because that is definitely true. You know what I'm saying? So, lastly, I'm gonna throw out one more um, piece of the puzzle. One part of my foundation and my self worth. I'm gonna do one more, and that is something that Cecilia mentioned earlier. Um, yeah, she's a part of our group, and we call her CC sometimes. So, yeah, so she mentioned something about boundaries earlier, you know, and I went right to the relationship aspect, and I want to touch on that a little more. Establishing and maintaining boundaries in relationships are very important. You know what I mean? And that's the part of my foundation, my self worth. I gotta do that because I always have to what? Finish how I start. How I start any relationship is very important. That's when the boundaries are set. Okay? If I allow something else to take my eye off the boundaries that I'm setting because of some physical or mental or, if I'm just, come on, like blown away by something and it distorts my mind and I don't set those boundaries at first, then later on, when everything that I was going after is old now and I'm used to it and we're normal now, you know, these boundaries aren't set. That's not the other person's fault. Okay, I can't blame the other person. So I have to set these boundaries early on, lest I suffer later. And that's just the bottom line. Okay, so set those boundaries. That's what I do early on. All right. Yo, I'm Smooth Dre from day one. Period. For real. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming on this morning. You know, thank you all for your support. Paula, thank you for the stars. Um, and yo, I look forward to being right here tomorrow with you guys at 6 a.m. All right, on Our Power with yours truly, Smooth Dre. So you know what? Y'all have a beautiful day. One.